Hi everybody, this is Jesse Iyer from Dangerous Games. Today we've got something pretty special for you. We've received all of the production samples from Longpack for Siberian Manhunt, and we're going to go through the English copy of the Deluxe edition together, and we'll discover if there are any issues. And let's dig in. All right, let's see. Here's all of our information on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it there. All right, we've got our rules on top. So the design of this was meant to look like a KGB dossier. So we do have our mission brief there, but everything else is in Cyrillic. Our list of components. I'll do the detailed analysis of card count and token count later, but I'll just quickly flip through this for you. The game setup. So one of the things that was interesting but a bit of a challenge was to make it look like a dossier. I wanted to have all of the fugitive material be with blue paper and all of the KGB material with red paper. But that strongly constrained the layout of the rule book, since you couldn't have a blue page on this side and a red page on the other side, right? So that meant that it was pretty tough to fit everything perfectly in, but managed to do it in the end. So here are the fugitive rules. Everything looks good. One really interesting thing was, maybe not interesting, but a pain in the butt, is some of these things are actually graphics. So when you would move the text, sometimes those things would just float, and they'd float off into the wrong position, and then that was one of the major, last minute edits that we had to do, is find all of the floating icons. And then we get to our government rules here. So those are all red. Some more floating icons that are perfectly aligned now. And then we have some final advice here, and yeah. Here we have the government action guide, the fugitive action guide on one side, and we've got the crafting guide on the other. So survival is a big component of this game. And yeah, you'll find yourself lost in the wilds, crafting some of these things to help you stay alive. All right, let's take a look at the main game board here. There we go. This is a beautiful piece of work by Radu Manzanak. So there's the crash site where the game begins for both the fugitive and the KGB. And then we have this beautiful artwork by Radu. Just zoom out a little bit here to give you an impression of what this board looks like. So we have our season tracker, our hidden movement track, and back to the artwork. Okay, moving on. We've got the fugitive dual layer board here. Everything looks nicely aligned. Then we have the government dual layer board. Similarly, we've got slots for all of the pawns that get placed here. And then, of course, you've got your slot for the energy track. And then these convenience slots, which allow you to slide down cards on the government assistance deck very easily. All right, here's the government extension board. This is where you place your cards after they come off of the this main board. They come down here like that. Place for discard, temporarily active, and reserve cards. Looking good. This is the extension board for the fugitive. So again, this goes below the main board, and you place all of your additional inventory cards in here. Looks good. This is the campsite board for the fugitive. All of the cards that you draw get placed here initially, and then either go into discard or go into your inventory. Here is the Manhunt bag. So all of the silent citizen and loyal communist tokens get placed in here. Here is the shield for the fugitive. So you've got some more artwork by Magicanic. And on the back you have a mini map showing the layout of the main board. This was a bit of a challenge. Initially I had the map just constrained there. And then I realized the numbers were just simply too small to see easily. So I had to expand it beyond the bends of the board. And now it's a good size. I think it's easily readable. Yeah, so this is the aerial search accessory. So you place this on the board when you're performing an aerial search for the fugitive. Yeah, it's got pieces of plastic that you remove like this, and then it's beautiful underneath. So a little bit of scratching there. I'm going to take a picture of that. All right, and then inside here we have all the card decks. This is the encounter deck. So this is what the fugitive encounters at the start of each turn when they're starting their turn in the forest. So you've got your Siberian brown bear. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got that nice linen texture. Some empty wilderness cards. You've got a farmer or two, they'll help you out. A fisherwoman, injured miner, log cabin, logging camp, lost hiker, a man trapper, a motorist, a murderer. You've got a bunch of parasite cards. You can get parasites if you eat raw meat in this game. And then if you draw a parasite card, so the parasite cards will be outside the encounter deck, and each time you eat raw meat, you'll add a parasite card to the encounter deck and shuffle. And if you draw it during your encounter, then yeah, you'll suffer. Basically, I wanted to have this game be the first game, potentially ever, to have diarrhea as a mechanic. We've got Escape Prisoner, Prospector, the Yakut Shaman. I love that piece of art. I don't know if you can see that. That's maybe a little too dark, but it's a beautiful piece of art by Natalie Henderson. Starving Soldier, you got your Thieves, Siberian Tiger. This is always a bit of a bummer to encounter that one. Grey Wolves. All right, everything looks good. So I have opted for paper belly bands instead of the traditional shrink wrap, because during the early days when I was getting numerous prototypes, there was a lot of shrink wrap. That's a lot of wasted plastic. And I realized, oh my God, if we ship out 1,000 of these things, that's going to be, you know, several garbage trucks full of plastic just from the cards alone. So yeah, paper belly bands are the way to go. Yeah. All right. Next we have our urban cards. So these are cards that you draw when you enter into a city. Starting with ammunition, got our backpack, some breaking and entering cards, some cans of food, canvas bag, a disguise, first aid kit, it's always important. Some fuel, you can fuel up the vehicles that you find and use them on a subsequent turn. A knife, silent but deadly, matches. There's one of the vehicles. You've got a motorcycle that you can take and refuel on your next turn if you have a fuel canister. This helps you move very quickly across the map. An old coat to keep you warm in the winter. A pistol, rifle, some skis to help you move faster in the winter. Snowmobile. And of course, vodka. No game set in the Soviet Union would be complete without vodka. All right, next we have our characters. Our characters and our crafting cards. So we have Eta Onosova. She is the alternative Fugitive character. She's a little different mechanics to play. She's good at being sneaky. As a local Siberian, she doesn't get automatically detected when she walks into a town. Whereas our main protagonist here, Jack Mackenzie, you know, he stands out a bit like a sore thumb. So there's our two fugitives. Then we have two different generals. General Ivanov, he's with the Red Army. He can move Red Army tokens. Normally you place the Red Army token and they're fixed in location for the rest of the game, but he can move them. And then we have General Zakharov, and he can search adjacent locations when he's doing a move and search action. Our KGBs, the dreaded Yakut trackers, and then we have all of the different items that we can craft. We've got our winter clothes, tent, snowshoes, sinew, satchel, our fire, the U2 film canister. That's something that Eta Onasova will carry in her inventory for the entire game. She's defecting to the United States, and this is her ticket out of the Soviet Union. Bow drill to start fires if you don't have matches, bow and arrow, and animal hide. Everything looks good. All right, moving right along, here's our hidden movement path. So this is where the fugitive will write down their locations as they traverse across Siberia. All right, here we have our wilderness cards. I can get them out. All right, we've got blueberries, cloudberries, dry grass, some lovely artwork by Natalie. Honeyberries, long stick, leafy branch. This is good for wiping out your trail and preventing the KGB or Yakut from tracking you. Medicinal herbs to help you heal. Some mushrooms, which may or may not be magic. Small sticks. And then there's prey to hunt. There's rabbits. If you're desperate, there's a squirrel. And then we have deer. And then next we have the government assistance cards with some very lovely work by J.D. Rodriguez. She made them look like old-fashioned propaganda cards. So we've got our aerial search. You play the aerial search, you use this accessory on the board. Agent recalled, so not all of the cards are actually good for the government. So these cause an agent to be recalled back to the start of the game. Yeah, that's always a bad one to come up. Some checkpoints, helicopter transport, motorcycles, so you can move your KGB or Yakut agents faster. Propaganda, that puts more loyal communists into the manhunt bag. Recruits, these are critical for getting your KGB agents out on the board. Deploying the Red Army, this puts Red Army tokens on the board. Search defunded, this is even worse, so this is another negative card for the government that causes you to remove one of your KGB agents off the board. Search parties, arrow sledge, so these were real, very odd looking snowmobiles that the Soviets had. They actually were powered by aircraft turbines. So, fun little trivia. And then weather forecast. So everything looks good there. Moving on to the other components. Here we have, so this is the Deluxe edition, so it has all wooden tokens, no cardboard here. So here we have our meat. So on one side you have the raw meat, and it says parasite risks. You'll eat one of these, you'll gain one energy, but you'll have to shuffle a parasite card into the encounter deck. On the other side, you have the cooked meat, so that's 2 energy and no parasite risk. One interesting thing is that these are cut by laser, and so you can see the edges are kind of toasted, and they have kind of a wood smoke smell. So when you first open the box, it smells a bit like new board game with plastic and wood smoke. It's an interesting combination. All right, those look good. Here we have the berry tokens. So if you want to save them for later, you need to put these in your inventory instead. Also laser cut. Also smells like wood smoke. Long pack assures me that that smell will fade with time, but I kind of like it. All right, these are your canned food. These give you 2 energy, no parasites, all good. All right, and then you have your manhunt tokens. You've got your silent citizens. So when these are drawn from the manhunt bag, the locals will not report you. And then you have your loyal communists. And when these are drawn from the bag, the locals will give your location away to the government. Okay, we've got our pawns. So you've got your red KGB pawns, your black Yakut pawns. The blue pawn is for the hidden movement tracker for the fugitive's location. This green one is your season tracker, but yeah, very classic looking. In the future, I will be probably offering miniatures instead of pawns for those who want them. All right, then we have our 3 little energy tokens in the meal tracker. These are the Red Army tokens. So normally they're placed on the board and they block that location for the fugitive. Here's your storm token that gets put on the season rondel. And when you hit that, it's a storm, whether it's a winter storm or a thunderstorm in the summer. But it slows down the fugitive's movement and prevents the government from using aerial transportation. And then here we have all of our location and blocker tokens. So here's our little location or tracker tokens. You've got the question mark on the back if you want to place these down where you think the fugitive might be. The other ones are blocker tokens. These are used for a variety of different purposes within the game. And on the opposite side, you have a check mark, also used for a variety of purposes, but yeah, just very useful. These are all wooden in the standard edition. These are all cardboard. All right, and now we'll return everything to the box. I should mention that there's no dice in these initial models. So Longpack had a delay on their dice manufacturing, and then consequently, the dice will be sent separately. So unfortunately, we don't get to see the fancy combat dice or the regular 6-sided dice that you normally have. Okay, so one thing I wanted to quickly show you was how Ejection Zone, the little mini expansion that some of you might have ordered, fits in the box. So it comes in this plain cardboard box. This is meant to just be recycled because Ejection Zone fits in the main box. So you have these different Ejection Zone accessories and they fit in the main box. So let's see how that happens. So you just place them just like that. And this one goes here, and then this one goes like so. Perfect. And then you can just lay the rules down on top, like that, and then continue with putting away all the other components. And then your little manhunt bag fits right in there like that, and then all of these fit nicely on top. And it all fits very beautifully in the box. Longpack did an excellent job in constructing the insert here. All right, and that's that. So there you have it. Everything looks really good, and I'm gonna give Longpack the go-ahead to begin mass production. That should take about a month, and then about the middle of August, end of August, the game should be put on the boat and off to fulfillment. So can't wait to get the games to your table, guys. Until next time.